so it is. Greetings, beloved, and welcome to this most wonderful of spaces. Before we get into what we need to get into today, I just want to tell you how funny it is that every single time when this Jeshua energy here goes into Ekara, he thinks he needs to make a difference between the time that he is talking and the time that I am talking. While there never is a difference, of course. As you know, I myself, naming myself Ekara, talk to you from a point of perspective 38,000 years ago, in the past, in that which was the old Lemuria. And also at the same time, about a couple of years, just 4 years in your timeline, into the future. And it is these timelines that we are now blending when we get into the now. So this energy, this carrier of Christ consciousness, is much similar to my energy. It is much similar to the Christ consciousness I carry. And you all carry, in fact. So I am just a name. Just a name. But I am much bigger than that. For I am you, and you are all me. It is similar. And that's why you are all my beloved. And look where we find each other. Sitting here, on the lava, on the molten lava, that seemed to have destroyed so many things not so long ago. But actually this is the creation of new energy. This lava that you see here, that you are experiencing now, and you will experience some more as time progresses, is basically the beginning of new cycles of energy. And that is what you are feeling as you entered these grounds, as you entered this area. Some of you felt something going on in the heart, did you not? You felt something going on in the thymus. And what you felt is basically the beginning of a new cycle of energy. It is that which is called free energy, of course. This is the new cycle that is beginning inside of all of you. And today we will also continue with the topic of free energy. And we will have time for questions. And we will actually make some time for 2 or 3 on 1 conversations. You will see what I mean with that when we get to that point. But before we get there, I want to tell you a story. Actually, the last time that I started this story, we weren't in Hawaii at all, were we? We were in the United States, and you will never hear me say that the United States and Hawaii have anything to do with one another. It's just a territory now that they have claimed, but this is not the United States. This is 5 hours flying from the United States. So we started this story out, the story of Ekara and Ea'e. We started out this story in Nevada, in fact, in the vicinity of Las Vegas, Mount Charleston, Cathedral Rock, and we were sitting in a vortex fellowship. Do you remember this? The beauty of that vortex. Any time that I just dared to speak the name Ea'e, the winds would come blazing in. The winds that showed us where we were at that time. And I promised you all then that I would tell you a story in 3 parts. The story of love, joy, and freedom, based on the connection that I once shared with the energy of Ea'e. And I will not go into the old story again. It is there on your World Wide Web or in written form. And you can listen to it and you can read it if you want to. But I will continue with it. The only thing that I will repeat before I continue is that I, as Ekara, back then, was living the life of a prince, because I was the next in line at that time to govern the freedom, the love, and the joy that was there to be found in Lemuria. But you must understand that when we use the word prince, when we use the word king, when we use the word president even, and I have told this many times and I will say so again, we do not mean having any type of authority over others. A couple of days ago you were in the Valley of Kings, Waipi'o Valley, on the northeast side of the island here, on Big Island, Hawaii. And many a king was buried there, many a queen. I know that when people talk about this, they talk about Hawaiian kings. I am talking about Lemurian kings. What is a Lemurian king? It is very simple. It is someone who strives all his or her life to create improvement in the life of others. It is very simple. It is about finding a space, whether this space be a piece of land, whether this space be an animal that is taking up this space, whether it is consciousness taking up the space of a human. It is about finding a space, and not just without, also within, and then doing all you can do to improve that space. Is this not the role of a creator? Is this not the role of a king? Is this not the way of sovereignty? And as Jeshua was telling you before this Ekara started, is this not the way of forgiveness and reconciliation and reintegration, as he was telling you? To forgive. What we in Lemuria knew as a basic law of our existence, a basic truth that would form these laws of universal love, freedom and joy, is that you are always the action. You are never the reaction. You never wait for others to do something for you that you could do unto them first. And this is the actual meaning when the Jeshua long time ago said the simple words, before the grace of you go I. And not just him, many others have said this in the past. The Blessed Mother Mary as well. Before the grace of you go I. I am divine grace. Always when I am the action that I initiate myself to improve something in your life. Especially if you understand that our life is connected through divinity, through going beyond illusion, through the akene, as Imzaia has told you just the other day. And so we have told you the story last time. The story of energy discipline. And we said we would continue this story. First time we told it, we connected energy discipline to the concept of universal love. And so we told you a love story. And it was a beautiful story. It was true too. We told you how Ekara, myself, used to be prince in Lemuria, and how I used to talk to the rocks and to the plant life and to the animals and to the meteors hitting the planet, and yes, also to the lava, because we are basically very close to the place where I used to live at the time. I used to live at the Valley of Kings, basically. That was the place where our original house was set up. And as someone here in this group, in this fellowship, has said only today, this was the top of a very, very, very high mountain indeed. The original bottom of these mountains goes back about 56,000 feet back into the ocean. So imagine time when these oceans weren't as deep as they are now. Imagine the size and the scale that Lemuria as a city of light once was. And so, there I was, in the Valley of Kings, living my life, growing up, understanding everything about being a light being. I was being taught, not by my parents, who were busy doing other things. I was being taught by the animals and the rocks and everything else around me, the plants, the mineral life. And as I said in the previous story, I kept believing that there must be someone else around, someone else who also understood. For I did not speak at that time, at that point in my life. I found it quite pointless to speak. Why would I? No one else had anything interesting to say. And if I opened my mouth and actually spoke my heart, spoke from the heart, they all thought I was nuts. And so I didn't speak, only to those who did understand. And one day, I connected to someone on the other side of the planet, called Ea. And this person had gone through the same experiences, the same connection with all that is around. And so we connected. And we found each other even though we were half a planet away. And in the end, we found each other also on a physical level. In the story of energy discipline based on love, we learned in those days the power of letting go and the power of forgiveness, which is not about making someone feel good about something they did wrong. You don't wait for someone to do something wrong. You act first. So we learned that forgiving, in this case, meant sacrificing or allowing our connection to take a lower space based on the needs of the Lemurians at that time. And what a beautiful decision that was. Why do I decide to continue with this story today? It is very simple. Others have taken on the opening of the 2 other vortices that we were supposed to visit while you were still in the United States. And here we sit, right near the ocean, on Pele's ground. In that other story, I have told you that there was a space where I myself, Ekara, and Ea went underground, that we went into the earth, that we went into that which you call the Middle Earth, which is not a negative concept at all. It is just a space that you, in some cases today, see as telos. So we went into the ground, knowing what would happen to Lemuria. And the space where you are sitting right now is very near the space that we actually did this, that we actually went underground, that we said goodbye to the sky, that we said goodbye to the waters, that we said goodbye to the light around us, and that we chose to go deep within the vibration of earth, because it was earth, the element of earth at that time, that needed our help and our assistance. And what I'm talking about now is well over 12,000 years ago. It was right near the end of the continents of Lemuria. So we went underground. You are not sitting 1 kilometer away from the space where it happened, that we did that. How can one enter into the Middle Earth? How can one enter into the energy of Telos, for instance? Well, we did it in a very spectacular way. We used the lava flow to do that. We chose to raise our vibration to such an extent that we could actually pass through the lava all the way into that which would then be called an other dimension of time and space, existing within the belly of this great mother. That Some of you call Gaia, others call Pele. Names are not important. And that is how we traveled into it. There are other ways, but it always works with the elements. There's always the elements that are necessary to do these kind of travels. And back then, in Nevada, we promised that we would continue this story, and that this time it would be about energy discipline connected to the second law of truth, namely joy. And then there would be a third part. Energy discipline connected to the universal law of freedom. Today we will give you the second part of the story. At the end of our lives as Lemurians, we made a choice. I made a choice to stay underground at that time because I knew that my energy would have to continue. That I, Ekara, although I blame myself still for not making another choice, but I knew that there was a higher purpose, and I knew that I had to stay below in the earth so that my energy cycle could continue for a long, long, long time to come, thousands of years to come. That means I gave up the illusion of death, of course, an illusion that not many Lemurians were carrying anyway. So I stayed down. And Ea decided to go up again, to go up and try to see if there were still some remnants of Lemuria that could be saved, that people's hearts could still change before the great tragedy that was to happen. Now the word tragedy, you do not need to see a judgment in this. There are so many words that you have twisted around. Like the Jeshua was telling you about forgiveness. The word tragedy is also one of those words. The essence of the word tragedy is something that is going to happen because of a higher purpose, and your energy automatically decides to be a part of it. Because your energy is angelic, your energy is divine, and your energy wants to see the improvement of the planet Earth. Just like a couple of years ago when that tsunami hit so many people, over 200,000 people supposedly dead. And then you see in your news, it's a tragedy, yes? Yes, it is. But a tragedy in this case, in my experience at least, is a good thing. For this is about souls who have decided to do the bigger thing. To create a bridge of light, so that those who would come after them would have easier ways of getting to that space where you are in today. So the tragedy that we created, Imzaia, back then at the end of Lemuria, and so many other tragedies along the way, also that tsunami, all led to this point in the timeline where you have a choice to annihilate all these millions of timelines that are existing, that carry lower vibrations, and create new ones, all leading to the same goal of the highest vibration, of the highest light, of the highest love, of the highest truth, and of the highest freedom. And that is where you are today. And that is why you are here, on this island, this mountaintop of the old Lemuria. That is why. And that is why we, back then, went down into the earth and made the choices that we made. Now you see, I am telling you this for a reason. I am telling you this because I want to explain to you what exactly happened to the continent of Lemuria. And it isn't a coincidence that some of you felt something happened here around the thymus, something happened here around the heart as you entered into this space that you are in here right now. For you see, Last time, last story, when we spoke about love, we spoke about the heart. It is the heart that experiences love. And the heart is basically a pretty big energy disk that you have here on your chest. It's actually even bigger than your chest, the energy of the heart. But this is not just a disk. It is basically the entrance. The heart is the entrance of a spiraling inward. And once you get to the next level, you go beyond the heart, the energy of the heart, and you get to the energy of the Akene, which appears to be a smaller disk, but basically it leads inward. So from the inward point of view, this would be bigger. You see? Only from an external point of view, this looks smaller. And there is another disk behind that. And that is the story for next time that we tell these stories. The other disk, the third disk, is basically that which you would call the Akenaic cell, divinity itself. And this divinity, finding this divinity, is freedom. And that is going to be the third part of the story of energy discipline. So as the heart is connected to love, to the sensation of love, so the Akene is connected to the sensation of joy. And so the Akenaic cell, the divinity within, is connected to the sensation of freedom. There's a big difference between the love that is conditional and the love that is universal. The joy that is conditional and the joy that is universal. And the same thing for freedom. Many times you think you are experiencing love, you think you are experiencing joy, but you aren't really. You are experiencing conditional joy. And I don't even have to explain this. Deep down inside you know what this is, and you know when it is happening. You know when you are experiencing universal joy, because you don't need anything else around you to make that happen. Most of the time you will say, I'm feeling down. I'm going to put on a song, or I'm going to pretend to be happy. Have you ever thought about the fact that that is conditional? Have you ever thought about the fact that you are creating external circumstances around you to make you happy? Have you, Imzaia? Have you, Lightworker? Have you?
Of course.
Most have not. No, believe me, most have not. The only way to find that joy is to find it within. To find that love within. And to find that freedom within. And that is why you have the cycle of the heart, the cycle of the Akene, and the cycle of divinity. All pointing inward. It's all there, right in your body, and it's just pointing inward. The story that is about joy, that is about the energy discipline behind joy, also deals with the same principle of the infinity sign going in both directions, much in the same way as lovers first hook up here in the center of the infinity sign and then make the decision to move themselves away from each other, going around one of the circles of the infinity sign each and then coming back to the center of that. Much in the same way as love works in this way, joy also works in this way. And this is the basic principle on which Lemuria was founded. So here we go. It was a long time ago, more than 40,000 years, when there was a society much like your own, much like the one you are experiencing right now. Things were hectic. Things were out of place, out of balance. The heart was out of balance. The mind was out of balance. People, connections weren't real. What today is called the internet then was called the internet. Literally. And if your society were to continue the way it is continuing today, you would also get to this type of internet. It would be based on chips placed in the system of the body. Chips that gave you the ability to immediately link up to information. Immediately go to virtual spaces that didn't exist anywhere but in the mind. Virtual spaces where you could meet, literally have meetings, and then of course after a while as it goes you would have the ability to have sexual intercourse there. So the body would just become this technology system, this huge interface to connect to the internet. That is the state in which this society was in about 45,000 years ago. People thought that they were happy. People thought that they were loving. People thought that they were free. Of course they would think this. They were programmed to think that way. Today you are also programmed to think. You are also programmed to love in a certain way. And you are definitely programmed to experience joy in a certain way. Back then, the same things were going on. Until Gaia itself created a homing beacon. It was more a crying out, a scream coming from the most secluded of all dimensions, the first one coming out of her belly itself and pulsing its way all through all the dimensions of time and space, all through the universe. And the scream was this: humanity, that is my consciousness upon this planet, is dying. They are condemning themselves and they are condemning me. Please help. And so Pleiadians and other races all throughout the galaxy listened to this calling. They heard it and they reacted immediately. One of these races were called the Lemurians. Now the Lemurians had very close connections to the Earth because they had been on Earth the very first time when Earth began to develop life. You would call them today by the name of angels. That's what you would call them. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, all original Lemurian energy, melding themselves with the energy of Earth so that this planet could develop consciousness, you see, and so many others. And so also these Lemurians, they decided to listen to the calling of Earth, and they began to prepare themselves for an interdimensional shift. A shift that would take them back to the place where it all had begun for them. Back here, back to this planet Earth. Those Lemurians, dear ones, that decided to do that are again doing this today. And they carry your names, for they are you. And I'm not just talking about the group that is here. I am not just talking about other groups around this planet. I am talking about everyone living on the planet today. Everyone that has been born within the last 88 years on this planet. And if you want to make it a little bit bigger, the latest 144 years, you can count on it that these are Lemurian energies. Now Lemuria is not a planet. Lemuria is not a universe unto its own. The Lemurian race is a race of light beings that ascended many, many, many hundreds of thousands of centuries ago. It happened right here on Earth. The very first society to reach that level of empowerment, to reach that level of growth. That which you today are calling the Ancient Ones, for instance. You have no idea how powerful you are, human. You have no idea how divine. You have no idea the grace that you carry. You have no idea how much your thoughts can affect the reality around you. Oh, you've been listening to it for tens of years. You've been listening to the tapes and going to the websites, and you've been reading the books and seeing the films. Still, you have no idea the power that you truly carry. You have come back to this planet to make a change. And all of you, and I myself, and Eae, and so many others, did the same thing about 45,000 years ago. It was when that society then was experiencing the high days of their internet. This time around, we have all decided, you and I together, to act a little bit quicker. Because you see that this is where it is going. You see that this is happening. The military is already installing these types of technology in their soldiers, especially the ones that are asked to fight where no fighting is required. They're still doing this. A few years ago, it used to be done by giving all these soldiers drinks, booze, so they could get a buzz, and then went on to drugs. Today the solution is more simple. Just inject a chip that supposedly helps to ID the officer. Can I see some ID? To ID the officer, to ID the soldier, but that is actually creating different brain waves, affecting the way thoughts are processed in the system. The same thing happened 45,000 years ago. And so we all heard that calling. We all heard that this is what we had to do, that we had to come to Earth. And so we incarnated en masse. And we did it. We all came. We all came to different parts of the planet. Some of us grew up knowing many, many things about technology. Others grew up knowing a lot about biology. Others knew how to infiltrate the political system. Others knew how to infiltrate the economical system, etc., etc., etc. And so it went on and on and on. These are those that today you are calling the indigos, and the crystals, and the rainbow crystals. All of them are Lemurian. All of them carry this message, this beacon, this foundation in their DNA as they come into planet Earth. Today you don't yet understand how strongly the DNA is connected to the akene, how strongly the DNA is connected to the actinic cells. But later on, before this week is over, we will tell you more about this. And you will grow as you learn to understand more about this. And so, What happened to that race of humanity that found the high point of technology right within their own system, the internet? They closed their hearts. Yes, that was the first thing to go. Because love became something that was programmed into you and that you could just buy on a virtual level. Why not? You had money enough anyway, because at the same time that you were having virtual sex with someone on the internet, you were still working. You had the capacity back then, what a great day it was, to segment the mind, you see, to compartmentalize the mind. You had the ability to continue working all the time. Holiday no longer existed. And how was this sold? Easy. It was said that from now on, you never really have to work anymore. That was the way that people went on to compartmentalizing their brains. You never really have to work. Because now you can work and play and have sex and watch TV and do this and this and this all at once. It can be going on all at once, because now you can choose what part of your brain you will be in. And at the same time, it will all be running, continuing. So people were always working. There was a part of the brain that was always connected to the work server, so to speak. And so even when people slept, if they slept at all, their brain processing power was still being used, you see. People thought it was fairly easy. All they had to do to work was sacrifice a part of their brain. What they didn't understand is that they were sacrificing a part of their soul, a part of their wholeness. And others started controlling a segment of their energy, even though it was the brain. You see, a segment of their energy that no longer belonged to them. All hail to the internet. So people had enough money because they were processing all the time. That's what working was called back then. They were processing all the time. So why not use all that money to create an extra compartment in the brain where you could always have virtual sex with the everlasting Pamela Anderson, so to speak. That you could change hair color and boob size and whatever you wanted to change whenever you were tired of the way that she was looking at that point. Yes, because that's what love is all about, isn't it? The size of someone's boob, or the size of someone's ass, or how hard he or she can scream when he is coming. You know, that is what the power of love is, isn't it? At least today, if you turn on the television, or if you go through the magazines, or if you go through the web. Oh yeah, baby, come here. I'll give it to you good. I love you for half an hour if you pay $250. You know? And now you can have that in your brain happening all the time. Processing power. And then the third, that's the family life, you know, that's where you compartmentalize, what a word, compartmentalize the family. You know, so if you wanted to go back to the family to see how your son was processing, you would do that, etc., etc. I can go on and on and on and on. You know, you get the idea.
Like the movie, The Matrix.
Yes, it's very close to that. It's very close to that. So, you know, back then people were also saying, hey, citizens of Earth, you're only using 3 or 5 or 10% of your brain anyway. Let's do something worthwhile with the rest. And so your power was being taken away from you 45,000 years ago. And so children were born, much like yourself, that couldn't handle this. Many of you, and with all due respect I will say this, many of you, dear Imzaia, dear light workers, dear Shambra, are weirdos, are you not? And why are you weird? Because you cannot comprehend the way society exists today. And if you were to be a part of that system, you would go crazy. It can't continue. And that's why you are a weirdo. You know? That's a good thing. Yeah. So as the power of the heart was closed off, the real reason behind the wonderful processing power of the brain, the real reason behind all of this taking place, was basically to cut off the energy meridians of the body. And one of the most important empowering meridians is the akene, because it is that which leads you back to divinity in the end. It is that which will teach you about the illusion. As this whole process was taking place, let me remind you that it is the akene that is creating the feeling of universal joy, much in the same way as it is the heart that is creating the feeling of universal love. You see? So, universal joy was taken away, because joy was no longer based on the coming together of two elements and then the moving away from that again, so that you can move into your inner self and then move back to that focus. Joy was now based on something that was continuous. Continuous pleasure, continuous satisfaction, continuous gratification. Sound familiar? Sound familiar if you go to McDonald's and you get what you want instantly? Sound familiar if you go to a prostitute and you get what you want instantly? Sound familiar if you go home to your supposed loved ones and they give you all you want because they are afraid to lose you? Instant gratification. That is what that whole society back then was about. And so we were all born. And we had a thing with our brain, you see. We had a thing with our DNA. Because when children were born back then, one of the first things that happened is that they were pre-processed in a way, so that once the parents would decide that it would be a good idea to connect them to this, and of course it would be a good idea because otherwise they couldn't go to school. School at that point was just a few years, because you just compartmentalize the part of the brain that would be about learning. You see that you would get downloads of learning, and children would learn at night. So as these children were pre-processed to have this node inside of them so they could learn, they could grow, children started to be born that were mutants. If the brain was compartmentalized, the child would die. And this was one of the most safe systems around. This was the answer back then, as some of us, especially the indigos of course, the fighters, chose to undertake. That if the brain was modified in that way, the child would die. And so there was an outrage. How could this happen? How could this safe system take place? But of course the outrage was silenced again, as outrages are always silenced. Some money was given, hands were shaken, etc. And so a next group came in. A group that adapted. A group that allowed the DNA to allow the brain to be prepared for processing. But these brains, because all the technology at the time was based on biology as well, there was a marriage of the two going on. But these brains were different. These brains were immediately connected to the divinity within. And these brains created a feedback loop. A feedback loop. Whenever they were processing information, they would send out the message of divinity, the message of light, the message of hope, the message of peace, the message of awakening, so that people would wake up. And I don't want to go into much detail about that society back then, because that is such a long time ago, but just to say things shifted, because, Lemurian, it is from that society that I was just describing that Lemuria would eventually rise from. It was that society that created one of the greatest light societies in the world, in the universe even. That was the basis for Lemuria. Do you see what you are doing today? You are doing the same thing. What they are doing, some are doing, is to try and take away your joy, to try and take away your energy. Don't let it happen. Know that you are capable of experiencing joy, even though so many are telling you that joy isn't what you really think it is. Understand that you are capable of love, true universal love, even though so many are telling you that love is something else. Be capable of understanding this, because if I am honest, it is probably going to get just a little bit worse before it's going to get better. And this is going to happen in the coming 3 months. That is why those 3 months are so very difficult. In those 3 months, everything will change, and there will be chaos, and there will be those who will try to lead you onto the path of conditioning, to tighten the grip even more than it is tightened today, because fear will become much stronger. Don't give in to it. Remember who you are. Remember who we all are. You and I am not better than you. I am not a god, unless you are a god. I am of the same race. All the masters that have walked the planet are of the same race. All the masters. They're all you, all of them. Equality in all things, remember? It's just that our jobs are a little bit different. I don't have to put on diapers once every 100 years. You know? I don't have to recycle that thing called a baby life and growing up, becoming an adult and getting older and dying again. I, as Ekara, have decided to stay in energy shape, in energy form, although I am connected to many a master over the years, carrying the Christ consciousness. But my job is no different from yours, and we are both working towards the same goal, you and I. Do you understand this? Do you understand the power behind this? Do you realize that what happened then, 45,000 years ago, is happening again today? Life always happens in cycles. Always. But two things can happen when there's a cycle. The next one can be diminishing the energy of the previous one, or it can be extending. It can be raised. Now I have placed, and some others have done it too, have placed a belief inside of you, which is a truth, based on universal love, universal joy and universal freedom. That is, that energy tends to raise itself naturally. So that is why you are being driven forward to create a new cycle, as this one is coming to an end, that is going to be higher than the previous one, you see. You are just doing the same thing all over again. You are just acting a little bit faster this time. And you aren't being as dramatic as the last time, because society yet isn't as dramatic. So you must remember that all of us, I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about Ea, I'm talking about all these others, Cryon, the Jeshua, Tobias, name them, that we are all of the same race. together with you. And now is the time to join hands. Now is the time to understand that we must all stand as one, that we must all go forward, that we must all do what we have to do, and that this isn't about fighting, that this isn't about war. You've seen examples of war. That's not the way to do it. This is about love. It's about joy, and it's about freedom. Those three things that were taken away very, very cautiously, so that you wouldn't accept it, that you wouldn't understand it was happening. But they have been taken away. And your internet has been built up. Only this time, Imzaia, light worker, this time the internet is much more devilish. It is based on thought patterning. It is based on influencing you, so that you don't even know what is happening. It is based on creating reactions before the actions have actually taken place. It is based on creating fear so that you would ask to be ruled, so that you would ask to be governed. It is based on creating thought patterns within you that don't even make you realize that you have other options, that you can go further, that you can choose the next path if the previous one isn't to your liking. It is based on all of that. And this is what you must understand. All of you must stand up as one. For none of you can truly do it alone, even though you understand that you are living in illusion, even though you understand that there is just one accompanying cell, just one divinity going on, and it's happening in every one of you, even though you know that you are no different from her and from him and from him, even though you understand that you are the only observer in your quantum universe, even though all of these things, you still must act within the illusion itself. But you must understand the illusion. You must stand above it. You must actually experience the illusion in all its completeness. That's the only way out. And that's why preference was installed in your system. Because if you were to like one thing and not the other thing, then you wouldn't be able to escape the illusion, because you would be right in it. But if you like everything, if you can accept the whole, then you can see the whole for what it is. A matrix, as you were saying just before. Then you see it was an illusion. Now, this was supposed to be a story. This was supposed to be a story on myself, Ekara, and Eae. But I, as the words were progressing in this free energy cycle, I have decided that it was more powerful to tell the reasons behind the story this time, and not the actual story itself. So I hope that I have been able to touch your hearts and to put that universal love back in there. I hope that I have been able to touch your akene and put that universal joy back in there. And I know I was able to touch your divinity and restore that. Create herself, that freedom. Adamus and Kutumi and all the others were right, you know, when they said, "How dare you?" They were right. It is time to stand up. It is time to no longer let yourself be governed by rules and laws and regulations that, frankly speaking, are just bullshit. That's what they are. Crap. Yes, that too. Anyone else?
Doo-doo.
Doo-doo. So that is what I wanted to tell you today. That is the power of lava. You have seen, as you stepped onto the end of this road and onto the lava, you have seen how easy it is to change something with an energy of creation, a power that is bigger than anything else you've seen before. That lava is in your bloody akenes. It's right in there. Mm-hmm. You can use it. You have felt it. I know you have. You have felt it as you were expanding that accompanying cell and becoming bigger than you were. Now what the love that you are sitting on here today has done, just delete that road. Delete the linearity that was lying there and create the adventure that you see all around you right now. That is what it is all about. So I hope that you think again whenever you are forced to think again. I hope that you, whenever you have this explosion of fear inside of you, and I know everybody has it, I hope that you will make a different choice this time. It is all about, the first steps is about getting out of the mind, you know, and that is all about potention. It was spoken of before. Potention, not potential, potention. The tension that exists between a negative and a positive particle of potential. And your mind will oftentimes create negative particles of potential. And you will have a negative idea. But before you open your bloody mouth and speak that truth that will materialize it, this time, just think again. Just as easy as that thought popped in, let it pop out and replace it with another one. It's that easy. And even better, let the two exist next to each other. That will really fuck up the brain. That will really fuck up the mind. It will really get rid of all those negative thoughts in the end, because the space in which that negativity exists will become too small. And it will be taken over eventually by positivity. That's the power of potention. That is the power that will help you to change your mind and make the mind not a ruler but a servant of your consciousness. That is all that you need to do. It was always used as a translator for consciousness, energy into thought. Loving thought, not fearful thought. Put it back in its place. It's like loving a pet and giving it all its freedom, but understand that your mind is not your ruler. Nobody can rule you. Nobody can govern you. And real governmentship is all about service. So if the mind really wants to rule you, then put it back in its place, where it can be of service to you. And that is all I wanted to say today. I will now hand over this energy so that you can ask your questions if you will. Is there anyone who has a question to ask? And I invite you, if you have a question, to just come over here and just sit next to me or kneel before me. No, just kidding. No, just to come over here so that we can have a talk. Is there anyone? I know there are some. Don't be shy. Don't be shy, we're sitting in Hawaii. Yeah. Aloha. Yeah, I'll make some room for you. Oh yeah. Okay.
I have several questions.
That's good. I have several answers.
But this time I would like a long and answer.
Are you conditioning my answer, my love?
No, with love.
Okay.
When we entered the I call it the ancient forest.
Yes.
I felt kind of weird. It was like the energy was building up,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point it feels like it was going to burst or something. I don't understand. I know only that this morning I have meditated to connect with the land.
Yes.
And I think it went very well.
Mm-hmm.
I know it went very well.
Yeah.
And the rest I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Well, even though you want a long answer, you're not going to get it.
I knew it.
Well, let me tell you this. You have always been connected to the earth.
Yeah.
You have always had a calling to help the earth in any way you could see fit. Even when you were still asleep between, even when you were still asleep, you wanted to help the earth, so you were working with the land. You were working with plants and everything. Today you are awake. Today you hear the calling stronger than before. Now, everything that you have experienced today was about the creational force that exists in the power of earth. You have opened yourself up to that creational force. So basically what I can tell you is this. Up until now, your life was being lived. Starting today, this is the first day that you have taken full control of your life. And as you know, the vibration of O is the vibration of earth. Parts of it anyway. And the O, as you meditate, as in the way that we have taught you, you can place the O in your action chakra, your passion chakra. So it would be normal for you to feel this burst of energy wanting to explode, for this is your calling into action. This is what is happening to you. Your life is being put into action, not just by others this time, but by you. And that is the grand power behind it.
Okay.
Yes. You wanted to know who you were, you said the other day.
Yeah.
You are a Lemurian. You are one of these that came to this earth to help out with everything that is. And I can tell you this. Many of the people that are sitting here in this group today have lived other lives. And from the perspective of mind, you would say important lives. Even spiritually important lives. So have you, in a way.
It's still vague.
Yes, but what I wanted to tell you was this.
Yeah.
Now is the time to forget about all those other lives.
Yeah, no.
You may remember them, you may honor them, you may take the power from that life and put it in your life right now, but it is about what is happening now. You know, some that are sitting here were pretty darn important, all floaty and all, sitting around on their carpet for days, just levitating a little bit, being masters, walking the earth, giving out their messages. A lot of them that are here today had that power, did that work.
Yeah.
But it's no longer about that. It's about what is happening right now. So you should stop looking for who you were, and you have just today found out who you are.
Okay.
And I know you can't put all the pieces together, and I know you can't manifest yet what that power is that you have experienced today. But me telling you all how to connect all the dots would be disempowering. All I can tell you is this. Go back to those spaces that you feel that energy and connect to the earth even more so than you did before. What you will find out is that you are a perfect translator for her needs into human consciousness.
Yeah, I know.
You understand this?
Yeah.
And you do that for people as well. You can translate people's needs into action. You do that. But you are at your best when you're doing it for the planet Earth. So, about 6 minutes, is that long enough an answer for you?
Yes.
Okay.
When I was in France this summer,
Yeah.
the energy that I felt that went in and out my body, that I had the sensation that I became that I was floating.
Yes.
What was that?
Free energy.
Oh.
once you are in a free energy state, in a free energy cycle, it will be pretty hard to imagine yourself simply restricted to this, which is your body. It will be all over. Everything around you will be your body, you see. And you will use this vessel, this life, this body, to get around from point A to point B. But it is not just about your body. So the energy that you were feeling coming in and out of you was basically your energy. You just felt it beyond the limits of your flesh.
Yes.
That was it. You see that?
Yeah.
Hast thou other questions, oh my lady?
I forgot. It will be in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a hug?
You can have a hug. Come here. I'm gonna sit down then. Oh, I love you. Thank you too. Anyone else that wants to ask a question? A good question about this time is, how can I stop the rain, Ekara?
Just ask.
Yeah. Aloha.
Aloha.
I'm listening.
Okay. We went into the cave this morning.
Yes.
Afternoon. And when I got out, I got all dizzy.
Yes.
And also when I'm feeling the lava here, walking here, I feel quite strange. What's going on?
Well, it's just what I was telling before. You know, as Jeshua also felt this, as he walked onto the lava, it's the same thing that you felt. It's basically a big bang of joyful energy that is taking place within you. It happens every time when you connect to a creative force as strong as lava. It happens every time. Now, the lava tube that you walk through, it's not because there is no more lava flowing that the energy of the lava isn't still flowing, and that's what you picked up in there, and when you came out you were dizzy. It's natural. The same thing will happen here. So once you walk out of this place, you'll probably feel the same thing, let alone the place that you're going to be visiting tomorrow. That's going to be 10 times stronger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
But it's basically a compass. It's a compass that you're very close to raw creational energy. And it is basically a reminder that that also exists within yourself. That raw creational energy is basically your akene, is basically your cell of divinity. And if you are really going to be using the akenet and going to be using this for everything that you need to use it for, find that feeling again within yourself, because that is the place where the akene is really present at that point.
Okay. Yeah, when I made a connection with the stream of the lava and
Yes.
Got into the stream, it became better.
Easier, huh?
Yeah, it was easier.
Yes. Yeah, that's normal too.
Okay.
It will flow through you naturally because you are part of it and it is part of you. But at first it's just, you are not used to that immense power, so it does something to you. But it'll get better. You'll see.
Okay. Giving, surrendering.
Yes.
Okay.
To the stream.
Yes.
To the flow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to ask a question? Oh. Come on over.
When you say 3 months,
Yes.
that's not a lot, and I don't feel that we will be ready. The chaos, confrontation, how will we deal with it?
Simply put, the reason that you don't feel ready is because you're still thinking linear at this point. 3 months is eternity. 1 day is eternity. This moment is eternity. Those 3 months are happening in this very moment. And that which is after that very moment is also in this very moment. So, it is linear. Your question is linear. And of course you have to make this happen in the linear world, I understand this. But what you need to do is take that power that is always present within you. You see, the reason why, because that universal manifest thing that is like a categorized for all the information that has been coming through this messenger in the last few months, started out with the 12, right? The 12 energy. I came in because I wanted to show you, basically, I am nothing more, as Ekara, than a past self and a future self from this Jeshua messenger. He is still in linearity. And yet, he is using his energy from the past and from the future. You can do that too.
As far as I'm personally concerned, I don't see any problem. And as far as I see the people around me now at this moment, I don't see many problems.
Yes.
But where I see a problem is how we are going to put ourselves when there is that chaos in the world, the other people. So for the moment I'm writing a book. I think that book will create a big difference. It will get many people that are at the level of almost being conscious to evolve, that they will get many insights, but in a way, 3 months,
Look, you are seeing a problem,
Yeah.
so you are creating a problem. You are thinking that book will work, so that book will work.
Okay.
A while ago, I believe it must have been Adamus, was telling all of you about the universal dance, the candle and the light of the universe, how the universe can be seen as a candle and consciousness can be seen as the light that is burning in that candle, as the flame, and the flame never thinks about how it's going to burn, how the movement of the flame will be. It just is beauty because it's just in the now, just moving around. As Jeshua told someone around here a little while ago, what you must understand is this: we are all dancing a cosmic dance, and you are part of that dance. All you have to do is do that dance and do the best that you can with it, and understand that the rest will take care of itself as well. The problem that you're seeing, and I would understand that that's a problem, you're seeing that you need to take care of all the universe, and you don't need to do that. There is enough happening already all over the planet. People are doing their thing. You have no idea yet how many people are doing their thing. And some of the people that are doing their thing don't even have an idea they're doing it.
No,
Teachers, for instance.
in a way that I can sense, that I feel, but let's say it is putting things in a practical manner.
Yes.
And that's perhaps I'm still living, let's say, in a three-dimensional thing. That's where I'm perhaps creating problems, as you just said. I feel that whatever we are doing, it is whenever it is feeling good, it will work. I know.
Yes.
But 3 months, my God, it's, that's I'm stuck with that linearity. I know.
Yes, I understand. But that's the reason, because otherwise people around and you and many others would continue to put it out, would continue to push it forward. That's the reason why the monetary system is going to collapse. It's going to be a catalyst into all of this. And believe me, you were born to do this. You will know when the time comes what to do and when to do it. And there will be no doubt in your heart. And everyone around here will have the same energy within their hearts. And you will all do what you have to do. You will have the time, and I can tell you this, you will have the time to build up that Akenet. You will have the time to learn certain things, so that even though modern technologies are going that are enabling you to get in touch with many people, that will still be possible. It's just going to be a different way. But there must be some, such as yourselves, that come forward first so that they learn the ways and then can learn onto others. These are the teachers' teachers. And that is basically what you all are.
Yep.
You are going to be learning this so that you can teach it to others by example. And that is all that needs to happen. It is not that big a deal. You know, you did it before. You manifested it before, and you will do it again. This is just a time. This is actually, to me, you know, because I'm walking around with you guys a lot and seeing what is happening. This, to me, is a time of greater chaos than the time that is to come. You just believe it is structure because the mind has told you it is structure. The chaos that is going to come is basically liberation from this. So it's going to be freedom. You see? So don't worry about that too much. And do the things that you have to do. Write that book, bring it out. Touch the people that you need to touch because you can touch people. That's your power. And you have been in organizations such as the army, the military, where lots of hearts are ready to act.
Yeah, I know.
Many.
Yes.
So do this and focus on that. And you will see everything will be all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come here. Everything will be fine. Anyone else? Or shall I sing a song? Yeah. Damn it. Anyone else? Oh, you're too gentle. Passing your question on to him and then him passing it on to you. My heart bleeds. No one? Okay, then I have another idea. Just before we... Sorry?
I have a question.
You have a question? Is it a long answer that you require? No? Okay. Come over here for a second. Aren't the clouds beautiful today? Look at them. Yes.
I was, an hour ago, I was reading the history of Hawaiian peoples.
Yes.
And suddenly I felt tired and I think I went out of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in panic that she thought I stopped breathing.
Yeah.
But I know I was, that I went, I think, I went in a stationary state.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you weren't the only one that had this happen. Actually, our messenger here had the same thing go on, and in his car, most of the people had the same thing go on, as I recall, because I was already present there. What happens oftentimes when you shift dimension is that you're going to need a while to adjust. You adjust better in a state of sleeping than in a state of waking, because in a state of waking you are still in mind. When you go to sleep, you immediately let go of all the structures of the mind, and the process can be much quicker. Once you came here, you entered the immediate vicinity, the immediate foundation on which Pele and thus Gaia creates new energy all the time. What had to happen, especially for you because you are so sensitive, what had to happen is that you needed to just go out for a little while so that you would be able to adjust to the frequency set you are in right now.
Yeah.
So that's a shift of dimension. It's basically a shifting of your reality. Once you go out of this place, you will see that it will happen again.
Yeah. Even at my work.
Yeah.
Even at my work. Nowadays I need every every noon, 10 minutes or so, just to
yes, and this is also an example of how this planet is so very out of balance. You see, normally all the energy on this planet should be the same. It should all be equal. Every place should be a place of high vibration. But now you are born in a different type of energy. So you are feeling all these vibrational shifts that are constantly going on. It's like you are driving on a highway and suddenly there's a speed limit that you can only go 100 kilometers an hour, and then 5 kilometers down the road you can go 90, and then you can go 120, and then you can go 80, and then you can go 50, and then you can go 150, you know? And that's very difficult. It constantly is pulling you out of that flow that you're in. So that's also one of the disempowering reasons of why things are happening the way they are happening. But there will be a blending. The highest energy will be chosen in the end. And when it is chosen, it will be a much smoother ride for you. A lot of people aren't feeling this because they haven't their akenes and all the other things that you can use attuned to feeling these things. You were born attuned, you see. You can't but be attuned.
Okay.
Yes. So that question lasted about 4 minutes. We're getting better, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's like snap, snap, snap. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, another hug.
Lucky bear.
Yeah, I love you. So I'm giving someone, 2 people in fact, one more chance to ask a question. Yeah, come over. Hello.
Hello. When you are sleeping and you're shifting dimensions,
Yes.
and then you wake up because there is something happened.
Yes.
What's happened then?
What do you mean exactly?
I was sleeping
Yes.
and shifting dimensions, and the driver did a brake,
Yeah.
and I wake up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
It was a strong feeling afterwards.
yes. You know, I know, and you know, your mind will then trick you into thinking, oh, an external stimulus happened, so that I was taken out of it too early. But this is all part of the divine timing that is in you. You know, that is your akene. You just had to be pulled out of it at that moment. And so you, as a part of the driver, as you are one, decided that this would happen. You see, it's not just about what you are doing, it's also what you are asking others that are part of your projection to do. So it was just divine. And the reason why it was so strong is that this is basically the first time you were a little bit nauseous and stuff. You weren't feeling well, or were you feeling wonderful?
No, I'm not following.
Yeah, there you go. So you weren't feeling well. So this is the first time that you enter into a energy field that is this strong. You will not understand what this is, the place that you are in right now, until you leave it. And I'm not just talking about this space where this lava flow that we're sitting on right now. I'm talking about the entirety of Hawaii, the entirety of Lemuria. You will only feel the true power of what you have experienced once you travel away from it.
I know.
You know, there you go. So that is what is happening to you. You were never in a field this strong.
Okay.
But you are a field that is this strong. That's why you are here.
I know.
Okay. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too. You too. Come here. Yeah. Oh, there's a long hogs too, huh? Okay.
How many minutes?
Thank you. I love you. There is room for one more. Is there one more? Okay. You have a question? My God.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle, yeah.
Question?
Yeah. Okay. Sit next to me.
There we go.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Yesterday morning,
Mm-hmm.
I felt a shift.
Mm-hmm.
That was the second time since we are in America.
Mm-hmm.
In Central Park, that was the first shift with that little dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday morning was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with me?
Very simply put, this is the second of a series of 4 in total that will take place, that will guide you to your creator self, to your total pure self. You have been born with many layers. You have been born with a lot of things around you to protect that purity that is inside. You have a very pure heart, my friend. And that purity could not have survived on this planet. So what did you do before you were born? You were putting several layers around you that were to protect you. Layers of what you would call tar, of negativity, of things that work on this planet, you know? Yeah, that's the way it is. 2 of them have already gone away now. The last 2 will also go away. And they will go away before your stay here is over, you know? And that will probably propel you into not going here at all, not going away here at all. It will probably propel you to decide to completely go for this new life that you are ready for. But these layers are like the peeling of an onion. They're going away, and sometimes they make you cry. You know, if you peel an onion, sometimes it makes you cry. And I know you've been crying a lot, so that's what's happening. It's just letting go of all this negativity that you have previously associated with you. You have said, okay, these layers are me. You know, that's who I am. And then all of a sudden you remember, no, it's not. You know, it's not who I am. I am this divinity here. I am this purity, and I want to be that again. So what is happening now as you are crying is that you are letting go of these layers. And I can see the change in your eyes already. It is different light that's coming out of there. So just continue on this path, and you will see it is quite natural. It will just go away completely, and that is what needs to happen. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come here. Come here. Yes, finally. That's a good question. Those are the good ones, you know. They never ask a question, but if they do, it's an important one to them. So, we will find another spot, and then we will continue with, for those who are interested at least, with this Trinity conversation, and then afterwards I will offer to you some more exercises. How is that? Yeah. Good? Okay. I will now close this tape recorder down by saying those magic words, and so it bloody is.